let's start with where Brentford are at this season, because I think if you were to look at the predictions that a lot of pundits and a lot of fans were to make, that it would have had Brentford stone cold bottom of the table for the final standings. And so far, it's going okay, is it?
Yeah, I think going into the season, it's kind of easy looking in from the outside to feel like the house is falling down with losing the manager, the captain, two top scorers. But I think Keith Andrews has navigated the first kind of 5-6 games quite well. In the cup, we're through to the fourth round or fifth round, I want to say now, and there has been a certain degree of consistency to the performances. We've had a couple of shockers. The first day against Forest was a bit of a wake-up call, but Andrews responded well to that. And then we had a derby game against Fulham where we played terribly. And again, Andrews responded well to that by beating United at the weekend. The last game, I'm not sure how much we can take from because United are really, really bad, which City fans will be very happy to hear about.
Yeah. You can't play donkeys every week, can you? That's
exactly,
the thing.
Yeah, exactly. We went into the game thinking we need a response from Fulham because Fulham was terrible. But we were good on Saturday, but I don't know how much you can take from it because I was shocked with how poor United were. So, yeah, I would say Keith Andrews has done quite well. I don't think many Brentford fans were panicking too much before the start of the season. And yeah, Keith Andrews, he's made a decent start to life as Brentford manager, considering all of the change that's happened over the summer.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you mentioned those changes there. I mean, just to name a few, obviously lost Johan Wisser on the final day, Brian Mbeumo to United, Christian Norgard to Arsenal. How have you, as a team, how have you kind of coped with such big upheaval?
It's difficult to know really yet. But people keep on asking me, or have been asking me, sort of, how do you think Brentford are going to do this season? And I've always said, until you're 8, 9, 10 games into the season, you're not really going to know. In terms of the people that have gone out, I think there was a like-for-like swap bringing Jordan Henderson in for Christian Norgard. And a lot of people, again, were kind of thinking, is 35-year-old Jordan Henderson the answer to Brentford's problems? And replacing such a prominent figure like Christian Norgard, who's arguably been Brentford's most important player over the last 6 or 7 years, to then bring in a veteran like Jordan Henderson, everyone was kind of, there was a few question marks over that. But again, the sensible Brentford fans, I would like to think, were saying, well, Brentford would have done their due diligence on Jordan Henderson to check that he could still do it at this level. And we have been massively, massively enthused by his performances because he's been a really good, ideal Christian Norgard replacement. And they're very similar. They're level raisers. They make people around them better. They always want the ball. They know when to go long. And it's a useful tool for Keith Andrews as well, going into his first job in management, to have someone like Jordan Henderson around. In terms of the other departures, we've brought in Dango Ouattara as a Brian Mbeumo replacement. We've brought in Reece Nelson, who's not featured yet too much. He featured in the Cup for 5 or 10 minutes against Villa. But yeah, so those are the two like-for-like replacements for Mbeumo and Wisser. But I think the main one is Thomas Frank, and that was where I think the uncertainty amongst Brentford fans and maybe the wider kind of football fan base extended from, because Thomas Frank has been a constant at Brentford over the last 6 or 7 years. And when you think of Brentford, you think of Thomas Frank, and now he's doing such a great job at Tottenham. Maybe he's that kind of special manager that we all thought he was. So it's difficult to know how we've coped with that change just yet. But I think from the way people were talking about us at the start of the season going into it, it sounded like we were dead certs for relegation. I don't think we're going to be there, and I've consistently said that from the start of the season up until now. I just think there are worse teams in this league, and whilst it does look like it's going to be competitive, with the 3 promoted teams looking like they're a lot better than they were in the seasons gone by, I just think there's enough quality in our side with the injuries that we have coming back from long-term injuries. You see in the fruits of kind of Igor Thiago's fitness, who was brought in as the Ivan Toney replacement. Aaron Hickey's back, Rico Henry's back. We've got all these players that haven't featured for Brentford for the best part of 2 years, really, who are now kind of making their mark on the team. And we've strengthened in the areas that we need to strengthen. I actually think our squad is in one of the better places it's been since we've been in the Premier League, despite having lost so many crucial aspects of it over the summer.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the manager, as you say, is a big change there. What's Keith Andrews done in terms of continuity? Has he kept things as similar as they were under Frank, or is he kind of going in his direction?
Well, in my opinion, it would have been a mistake to kind of rip up the playbook, because he's seen firsthand kind of the things that have made Thomas Frank successful at Brentford over the last 6 years. He worked under him as a set piece coach, and now he's obviously the manager. But if he came in and kind of said, this is the style of football I'm going to play and I'm not going to adapt, then I think a lot of Brentford fans would have turned on him a lot quicker. There are a lot of Brentford fans already, even after the Fulham game, that were thinking he's out of his depth. But we're a fickle bunch, and I think a lot of those worries were forgotten about when when we beat United on Saturday. But yeah, in terms of Andrews' football, I mean, we've seen the same kind of tactical flexibility that Thomas Frank showcased in terms of playing with the back five against the better teams, setting up against the back four against the teams that we think we can beat. Sometimes he's got that wrong. I think he needed to go with a 4 at Fulham, and then he went with a 4 against Man United. So I think that's where he sees them potentially, and we managed to run all over them. But yeah, we're seeing. I think it's too early to say there's like an Andrews ball. I've not seen Andrews ball yet. I don't want to say, because I think it's a bit too early. But there are certain patterns of play. We look a lot more like 22-23 Brentford than I think we did last season. I think under Thomas Frank last season, I think he saw that as a season where we've bedded in now. We're an established Premier League club. Let's go back to the football that we were playing in the Championship, which was expansive, ball along the ground a lot more. The goalkeeper touched the ball, and we sort of baited the press and would build through the thirds with quite intricate play. Whereas now we've reverted back. I think that's a bit of a concern with Brentford fans. But once we made this appointment, I think it was always going to be a kind of reset this season. We reverted back to going a little bit more direct. And I do think we're more equipped this season to beat the better teams than we are the worst teams, if that makes sense. But as City fans will know, we had a lot of joy against big teams in 22-23. We did the double over City. We beat Man United. We beat Tottenham. We beat Liverpool. We beat all these great sides. And it was actually the games where we came up against opposition close to ourselves where we fell down a little bit and maybe prevented us from nicking a European spot that season. So, yeah, I think he's not changed a lot. I think we've probably gone back a couple of seasons in terms of our playing style. But for me, if we can get results over some of the bigger teams in the league this season, I've got no problem with that.
Yeah, if it works, what's the problem?
Exactly.
Yeah. How do you think he'll approach this weekend then? Because, as you say, if you go back towards that 22-23 style, like Guardiola didn't specifically say this about Brentford, but he said this about teams that play in that way in the past. Like it's like going to the dentist. It's really hard to it's really hard to play against. Is that what you're expecting this weekend?
I don't know. I really don't know because he's kind of kept us guessing. Because when we've thought he should go to a 5, he's gone to a 4, and it's been the opposite. So I don't know. I feel like because it went well for us against Man United in a 4, he may set up in a 4 against City. But I would still think that the level of the golfing quality between United and City is so big that, in my opinion, it's going to be a game where you're going to have a lot more possession. And with a front two of Kevin Schade and Igor Thiago, and if we sit in that low block and we win our duels in and around the penalty area, we're going to have outlets if City are really pushed up on us. So it's difficult to call. I would still suggest going into a back 5 and kind of setting up the way we did against Chelsea. And we had a lot of joy against Chelsea when we played them at home, and kind of feeding off those scraps in and around the area, having the Willian runners in beyond, and then playing it to those runners very, very fast, which Jordan Henderson can do. I think if you look at Jordan Henderson's assist for Schade against Chelsea and you look at Jordan Henderson's assist for Igor Thiago against United, they're carbon copies of each other. We win the ball back. Igor Thiago and Kevin Schade just spin off the last defender, and we're in on goal, basically. So I think there could be a lot of joy for Brentford in those situations, but I don't know. It's too early to predict with Andrews. There's not really been a level of consistency in terms of the formation yet. And like I say, we're still only 6 games into the season. So I don't know, David. That's the answer.
Excellent. I like not answering questions on podcasts. It's what people want to hear. You've done well at home, not so well away. Just looking at your record, unbeaten at home, not taking a single point away from home. So I think the fact that this is at Brentford should be not something that should be something that makes us think it's not necessarily going to be a simple day for City.
Yeah, well, we need to sort that away form out, to be honest. And I think even in the games that we played Forest away, Sunderland away, and Fulham away. In the Sunderland game, I thought it was a game that could have gone either way, and I actually think we played okay. And Sunderland, 4th now? So we don't really know how good Sunderland are going to be this season. So I didn't get too in the dumps about that result, because I just think by the end of the game, it was one where we were really going for it, and both teams could have come away with 3 points. But yeah, we do need to sort out that away form, and I think it's going to be massive for Keith Andrews once he gets one under the belt. Because if we're relying on our home form to get results all the time, it feels like we're a different side at home, which is kind of the story of last season as well. City fans might remember, they might not remember, but we didn't win an away game until December. But our home form was amazing. So, yeah, I mean, if we're going off the evidence that we have, I'd rather be playing you at the G-Tech right now. But yeah, it's definitely important for us to kind of balance out that home form and away form
Yeah.
come the kind of as the season goes on.
Yeah. Who's playing well at the moment? Who, if you are going to take the points, who will be the players that do it?
Jordan Henderson has for me been the standout so far, and I know that might come as a shock, but he's been so good. He's been the things that he offers, especially because we've got a really young team this season with a really young manager as well. I think the leadership on the pitch, he never stops talking, ever stops talking. He's always talking to those around him. And we've got young players in midfield like Yehor Yamoliuk, who's been really good this season. A lot of Brentford fans are tipping him to have like a Damsgaard-esque season this season as Damsgaard had last season. So he's been really impressive as well. Obviously, Damsgaard's the one where he makes things happen. Everything kind of goes through him, and he's started the season really well too. And then in terms of our attacking options, Igor Thiago is one that people won't really know about because he was brought in as the Ivan Toney replacement and then spent the whole of last season injured. And he's scored 4 goals. I think only Haaland scored more than him this season. He scored 2 against Man United at the weekend. One of them was a really amazing finish, and another one was really good centre forward play. So those have been the standouts for me so far this season. Defensively, we've looked okay. Michael Coyote is a right back that I think has a really big future in the game, but he just needs to iron out kind of subtleties in his game. And then there's another one, Aaron Hickey, who's recently returned from long-term injury, and he scored an absolute worldie against Villa in the League Cup. And then he started against Man United at the weekend for his first Premier League start in almost 2 years, and he really impressed too. So this is what I mean. We've replaced. I think we've replaced pretty well, and we've got players coming back from injury, and we've got a front line that's scoring goals. So I think that's a recipe for success. But yeah, those would be my standouts.